Hey guys, so here again with the PSA. I just did a little check on my PSA orders, and my one set of 20 cards has sat in the grading process for I think it's been there for about 2 months now. The set of 100 cards finally just reached the grading process. Um, these cards, these sets have almost reached the 1 year mark each. They were sent in pretty close to each other. I think only a month apart, and we're coming up to the one being nearly a year pretty soon. Maybe they'll get it to us right before a year. We'll see. Understand, and these were like very close to the slowest service. Technically, a quarterly special is supposed to be considered slower than value TCG, but I believe the turnaround time is supposed to be 40 business days, which is like 2 full months, and it's been nearly 12. So that's 6 times the wait time. Now, granted, the PSA talks about, and here's their current complete through dates. So right now, on September 30th, they're about 59% complete with November for value TCG. This is just why I said quarterly specials take longer, because they have quarterly specials at the very bottom, with being behind in the most. But let's go ahead and take a deeper look. Oh, there we go, a deeper look at the backlog. So it talks about, most of the items being value service versus everything else. And, that's to be expected. This is where you would have your bulk, is all the cheaper services, as the grade should not be affected by the price, although based on our sample size, we are seeing that the grade is actually based on which service you pay for. No biggie. But here's the thing. This is what gets me, guys, okay? This is what really gets me in terms of the wait time. And it's this chart over here. So this is in the millions. So every one is 1 million collectibles, and this is for each year. So in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, pretty much the exact same amount. 2014, they start to see a rise. Again, though, they probably just said, it's minimal. 2015, they saw a repeat. 2014 with another increase. At this point, as a logistics manager, as that is what actually I am, is a logistics manager, I would probably start to look for new hires at this point. It wouldn't hurt. 2016, at this point, we're talking about an additional 500,000 collectibles within the year, and we've seen a steady increase with spikes. 2016 at this point, I am 100% hiring new, graders, or whatever they call their employees. 2017, confirmed spike. Now we're above 500,000. We're about 700,000 extra collectibles. This is nearly 70% increase in product grading by 2010. At this point, if I have not hired people, my higher up should be firing me. At 2018, we're at 2 million. In 8 years, we've pretty much doubled, which is very significant. At this point, we should be able to handle the load as we've had it inspected. At this point, we can start to see a trajectory line. But at this point, we should be hiring employees to handle at least the 2 million mark. If we happen to go below it, it's no big deal. We'll just have quicker service times, and that will be good customer relations. And but at least we'll have the personnel to meet 2 million. What it seems like, or at least the picture, I think you can see where I'm going with this, because we can see it continue to go up to the point where it almost touches 3 million in 2020. So here's the thing. As far as I'm aware of, the PSA didn't miss any deadlines, even in 2019. So that means they had the personnel to handle 2.5 million, right? But let's just go to 2010. Let's use the lowest number versus the high number for 2020, which is what currently is our 1 year delay, as that's when our packages were sent, for basically a 2-month turnaround. So even if they only kept the exact same manning personnel in 2010 and never fixed that because they had poor management, or at least they didn't have proper logistics, which is still, in my opinion, poor management. The orders technically should have only been delayed no more than by 3 times the standard turnaround time, based on just pure facts and numbers. You can equate for COVID-19 keeping employees from coming in, but based on how they report on how they do this job, there's very little personnel interaction, really. I mean, it's handoffs, which can be done by someone dropping off the package at the door of another person, walking away, and the other person immediately opening the door and grabbing the package and moving on to the next step. So it's very interesting that we're seeing more than 3 times turnaround time, which would be the factor based on the lowest force. As I said, PSA is a fairly old company. By old, they're over a decade old for sure. They've been around longer than that. But yeah, these spikes, this should have started the hiring process. This should have definitely confirmed the hiring process. And they should have confirmed the hiring process for this amount of workload. That's just basic workload logistics management. And you could say, well, they didn't want to overhire. They didn't want to hire to do 2 million product and then have a drop. As I said, the worst case scenario, they would just have faster turnaround times. Maybe some less hours from employees, but it really wouldn't affect them, based on a current trajectory chart. So this is super poor management. As I said, based on these numbers alone, the turnaround time, based on 2020, should have been no more than 3 times the amount. So we shouldn't have seen any more than 6-month wait rate around time for value TCG, one of the lowest and slowest turnaround times. And then, of course, they talk about their employee growth and capacity growth and PSA initiatives. But here's what I thought was funny, right? And I'm really not too happy now that they're hiring so many employees, because the issue is now you have new employees, and I think we're starting to see to where the grading is too wild because we have so many new employees who aren't seasoned in grading, because they're talking about these 175 new employees since December 2020. So they haven't even had a year of work for grading yet, and I don't think grading is seriously a high level skill. But I definitely don't just want some random people grading. I want people who have been seasoned in grading. So if they were to do this right, they wouldn't let these people have any official grades. Like, they would let them, test out, like, oh, I think this is a 7, and they would have someone who's been in for at least like 5 years, QA/QC them and be like, well, you did good, Joe. I mean, I think it's an 8. But you said 7, that's one off, not too bad. So I'm not really excited about this, because that's when we started sending in our packages. It would be these new guys and girls, being the graders for that process. But here's where it gets better, right? All this new stuff, lean principles, technology, all really nice stuff. Nice words, nice little pictures, good little graphics, good for them. Global expansion, also great, but. And this is actually good. The global expansion is good. That's fantastic. But here's where things get funny, in my opinion. And there's more to read here. I didn't go through all of this. But looking to the pictures, PSA's grading process. So you go through this, and the order gets to them, and they go through all that, and they add whatever sticker. I'm not quite certain how that exactly works. Research department, sure. Okay, grading. Your cards are graded. Cool. And the label gets put on after the grade is set. Then your card gets sealed. Now this is why I say this is dumb. This should be after this. There are several reasons why this should be before this. Number 1. If the grade is wrong, since this is the QA/QC grade, they now have to crack open the case to put in the new grade. Why this is also wrong another way. Every person knows, and I I've admitted it on my channel, that it is nearly impossible to grade check a card that is in some sort of protective. If you've watched any of my episodes on PSA grading, to where I prepare things to be sent into the PSA, I always pull the card out, even of the penny sleeve, to give it a fair look. So if this card is now already encased in a extra protectant, it will either the grade can be mistook based on scratches on the case versus the card, because the grade is to the card, not to the case. So this grade could be affected. There could be some sort of glare that isn't there. It could also be improving the value of the card, because the case tends to hinder the sight of damage, because it makes it a little bit harder to see. This makes no sense to be here. This should be before this. Again, they're going to have to crack open the case to correct the grade, or they just let it slide, making this step 100% pointless in this order. Again, I think the PSA has not hired a logistician. These sorts of things would have been caught. Like, this can't be after this. It just doesn't logistically make sense. Because if they are cracking open the case, now they're possibly damaging your card. There's not supposed to be any safe way to open that case. It's supposed to be a tamper-evident holder for security. It's supposed to make it to where that thing is nearly impossible to open. I've done some crackings before, and it's not easy. It takes some time. So now they're eating up time if they do have to crack it open. It's always a risk to the card. And again, they can't give it a second grade check officially if there's stuff in the way. So they need to either redo their process, or this graphic is wrong, but I really think this is their process. And I really hope they see this video, and I really hope that they fix themselves. This is fine, because quality assurance. This is talking about specifically the card sitting in its case, how the case is, if the label's in the right spot. You know, this is all fine. Quality assurance should be after the product is completely finished. The case is a part of the product. It's part of the process. So this should definitely be after this, but this should be before this. And of course, shipping back to you. I can't believe how long they've been doing this, and they can't get this right. I mean, it's really not that hard. And I think their name is falling off more and more. And I don't mean to attack them. I don't. I'm just pointing out facts. And I use the PSA because that's the one that I use. If I were to use another card grader right now, I would point out their flaws, if they had any. I also point out things when PSA does things right. You know, they moved the expiration date for people's memberships, but they haven't done it again, and they need to, because they still aren't accepting orders below, like, the Express level. Like, I pay for my Platinum membership to get discounts on orders, but I don't have that many cards that are worth sending in Express. I think it's, Express is like $150 per card. I'm not going to send in 100 cards like that. That's 15 grand. I just don't have a reason to do that, and I don't think there's even a discount for that level of service with the membership. So the whole point of buying the membership was because I had tons of cards to send in at a certain service level, and they have not allowed it. They haven't been allowing anyone to send any cards in below a certain service level. So PSA, I really hope you see this. I really hope you take my free advice and you fix yourself. If anyone else were to have done this that you would have hired to done some sort of insider check, they would have charged you like 10 grand giving you all this information. So I really hope you take heart to this, and I really hope you fix yourselves. I just don't believe there really was an excuse for 2020 for your business model. It just doesn't make sense. You're not a fast food restaurant. You have people in separate offices doing card grading. So COVID-19 should never have been a factor for you anyways. Um, and I really think the hypothesis is true here. I think you guys, for the longest, were just doing the wrong thing. You were purposely kicking to the side the orders of bulk. You were still accepting them, and you were accepting all the higher orders from YouTubers, and you weren't cutting them off from the top. Instead, you put the bottom far out to the right, and you didn't tell anybody, and you just kept accepting orders, knowing very well you would miss deadlines. The only thing you did right out of that scenario was you pushed the member expiration further down the line, and now you haven't done that yet again because you need to, because you're still not taking orders. You aren't giving people special discounts or coupon codes. According to your metrics, you can definitely afford to, because the customer is definitely keeping your business alive, and your members, and you've done none of that. You didn't address the situation until about 8 months into the situation, after multiple YouTubers, including myself, made videos about your failure to do so. I know businesses are there to make money, but you've got to meet contractual deadlines. You've got to. Do that in some other business and watch your throat get cut, man. I mean, you have given rise to other card graders. I think, your delay in this system has given rise to other card graders. There was a demand, and people started to fill it. And I think you're already feeling the heat from CGC PSA, and BGS has gotten new life, and a bunch of other card graders came out of the woodwork. And as long as they can keep a standard and make a name for themselves, like CGC just did, I think you're not going to be around for too much longer. You really need to address your public relations, and you need to address your logistician work for trajectory models and good business practices. And you need to fix your steps. This makes no sense. Anyone who has done card grading sent to you and other graders can tell you, you cannot have the sealing department before a grade check. That makes no sense. And again, PSA, this is free advice. Take it, run with it. Don't end up like Blockbuster. This is my TED Talk. Thanks for coming. Bye.